Hey Wolfpack, and welcome back. I hope you all had a great week, and I hope you're all gonna have a great weekend. Today, we're reading I'm a Cam Girl. My stalker has a sex doll that looks exactly like me. I think he's been inside my house. Written by MackMoyerAuthor. And with that said, whether you're sitting around a campfire, on the night shift, or even laying in bed, let my voice soothe your nightmares. Most of my old fans didn't recognize me anymore. My hair was no longer dreadlocked, nor was it colored like a bag of Skittles. My tattoos were hidden under business casual camouflage, long-sleeved button-downs and ankle-length skirts, and my face grown slightly wrinkled in the 10 years since my time in that narrow spotlight. Now and again, someone would recognize me, but they never knew from where. To them, my face was an echo. My seawater eyes a whisper, my smile nothing more than a lyric to a song they'd long forgotten. But then, there was the handful who would never let me forget who I used to be. They'd find me on Facebook and Twitter, and even LinkedIn. Pervy internet gumshoes who dig through Google image searches endlessly. They'd put my recent selfies and profile pics up against still frame shots of the old me, usually after a money shot. DMs went as follows: "Found you, slut. Degenerate whore," or sometimes they'd send nothing but an unsolicited dick pic. Then I received something altogether different. Not a DM or a mention, but an email delivered to my work account. My work email wasn't listed anywhere on the company's website or public directory. This led me to suspect that the scumbag worked with me. The first image I received was almost quaint. I thought it might have been an old profile picture at first. It was me in a flannel shirt, tied off Daisy Duke style at the waist, top buttons undone to show off my boobs. The rainbow dreadlocks and pouty lips, curled mischievously, were all very much mine, but it was the flatness in the eyes that made me realize it was a doppelganger. It had a sort of tactile look to it, though, more real than the most advanced real doll or most convincing deepfake. My clone stood with her hands on her hips in what appeared to be a sparsely decorated sunroom. Windows in the background, black, and featureless save for the shadowed reflection of a man snapping the picture. "You're a goddess," the caption read. "Please come back." Sufficiently creeped out, I deleted the image without replying to the anonymous sender. Maybe he'd have left me alone if I'd answer him the first time, maybe not. But the emails kept coming. I've never been ashamed of my old line of work. I wasn't exploited or coerced. I wasn't trafficked, and no, I wasn't abused as a child. I avoided every shady outfit looking to shortchange performers. I owned my own platform. I worked when and how I wanted, and only with those performers I wanted to work with. Guys, girls, and those beautiful in-betweeners. My family disowned me, and my friends from home got weird about it, but I enjoyed my life. I lived the way I wanted to, and more importantly, I was in control. Then came the day I found a stolen image of myself on one of the tube sites. Tributes, they called them, usually created by the incels and neckbeards who'd only stopped spanking it long enough to call the performer a degenerate slut in the comments. One of those paunchy, sausage-fingered losers posted a video wherein he jacked off into a frame picture onto my face. At the end, when he finished, he zoomed in on his pitiful little load dripping down my photo, like someone had spilled a glob of Elmer's glue. I would have called out the creep, maybe would have tried to track him down and put him on blast on Twitter, but I didn't think it was worth the effort. Plus, there were bound to be imitators. Kicking the hornet's nest would only rile up the hornets, so I let it go. But I was done with performing after that. As much as I hated to admit it, the creep ruined it for me. No matter how I tried to look at it, I no longer felt that I was in control. My face, my body, none of it seemed to belong to me anymore. I shuttered my website and my social media profiles. I copyrighted all my work, so scrubbing my videos from the Tube network was aside from a few bootlegs. Fairly painless. The most painful part came when I went back to work in the real world. After being my own boss for so long, I thought I'd suffocate in that cubicle. But I could live with it. because at least I was relatively anonymous, until the email started anyway. The doll had to have been a custom job, because I've never licensed my likeness to any of the legit companies, though I'd gotten offers aplenty. Some deviant dark web Geppetto must have made a killing. Given the realistic features, the details, dude even got all my tattoos right, and the seamless points of articulation, the doll must have cost 10 grand, maybe more. The photos got more explicit. My doppelganger on the floor, naked on all fours. Another one legs stretched spread eagle. One with her in a wedding dress hiked up to her hips to show off the items he'd inserted in her, captioned, "Come back so I may worship you again, goddess." Delete, delete, delete. What more could I do? Though, by then, I was certain he worked in my office. I couldn't tell HR. I'd never told them about my years as a performer. All the cash I'd made from my performing days were long gone. I couldn't afford to lose my job. Even so, work was torture. I got paranoid. Snapped on a few male coworkers just for glancing at me. Couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, being followed. I even thought about sneaking into the office overnight to check all my coworkers' computers. I would have, but I couldn't gain access to their passwords. Goddess, please answer. I love you. This note accompanied the image of my doppelganger, naked on her back, her lifeless sapphire eyes turned toward the camera, with a messy trail of pearls glistening on her belly. I probably could have handled it better. The way I reacted, I mean. Maybe I could have lured the guy out, confronted him in public, humiliated him. Anyhow, you know what they say about spilled milk. I wrote back exactly what I'd been thinking, that he should enjoy the doll because he'd never get me, or any other sane woman. Oh, there was more to my reply, but the short version amounted to, "Fuck off, weirdo." No word from my anonymous worshiper for almost a day and a half. I actually began to think he got the message, that he'd leave me alone. The more his images flooded my inbox, the more I began to identify with my doppelganger. It was me, blindfolded and tied up in the corner of a dark, dingy basement on my knees, naked and vulnerable and violated. It was no doll painted up to look like it had been abused. No, it was my face that bore bruises, the color of ripe plums, and oleander petals. That was me. With starter cables clamped on my boobs and nails driven into my hands, that was me with my mouth sewn shut. It was some silicone facsimile bound and gagged, with a dead rat jammed inside the nook between its legs. No, it was me. I hate doing this. You have to come back. Please, come back. The cops were useless. Any hopes I had of them taking my case seriously vanished when I told them about my old profession. The city's meager cyber unit found that my anonymous worshiper had funneled his IP address through a series of dummies. Current phony location, some backwater town in Bolivia. He's just an obsessed fan, some disinterested lieutenant said. Nothing much we can do about online harassment. I bought a gun, started drinking heavily too. I found it easier to sleep with a gun under my pillow and my belly full of Pinot Noir. Even so, the sound of a tree branch cracking in the yard would rip me from my slumber. I suffered panic attacks anytime my phone rang. Then came the day when I got home from work, sat on the toilet, and saw it. The tiny lump in the bathroom wallpaper. I peeled the wallpaper back. The lens was small, perhaps half the circumference of a dime. I wondered how long he'd been watching me in the toilet. Wondered what other little cameras he'd hidden in my house. This time, I emailed him a picture. Me holding my middle finger up with one simple caption, "Motherfucker, I'm going to kill you." In retrospect, upon realizing that he had been in my house, I probably shouldn't have finished that half-full bottle of wine I'd started drinking the night before. In my panic, in my rage, I didn't consider it. I was determined to get drunk, and whatever sedative he dropped into the wine didn't leave me an aftertaste. More spilled milk, I suppose. I wasn't sure how long I was out. I didn't realize that last night. I never did get drunk. There was far too much Pinot Noir left in the bottle, so it was no doubt that he drugged me. Also, I didn't think he touched me physically, though obviously I couldn't be certain. My inbox was full of pictures from the previous night. Me, drugged and sleeping, with the doppelganger sitting upright with a bag over her head, hands bound behind her back. More pictures. Close-ups of me sleeping, him holding a knife, pressing it against my doppelganger's throat, with me in the background. my doppelganger, noose around her neck, hanging inside my closet. As far as I could tell, he didn't steal anything. My gun remained safely concealed under my pillow, thank God. He wanted me on camera again, that much was obvious, but I wouldn't do it. He could stalk me and threaten me all he wanted, but if I ever decided to go back on camera, it would be on my terms, not anyone else's. I knew he was going to come back, and this terrified me. But no, I didn't plan on calling the cops again. Instead, I was waiting. I was going to pretend to sleep that night. Put my pretty little head upon the pillow and wait for him. When he came again, he was going to get a big fucking surprise, because he didn't know about the gun under my pillow. I guess he didn't install the cameras until after I put it there. Come on then, buddy. Your goddess awaits. Thanks for listening, Wolfpack. If you want to submit your own story, the links for my email and subreddit will be down below. I've also created a Discord, so if you want to join that, the link will be in the description down below as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And with that said, have beautiful nightmares, and I will see you next time.